Hi. In this video, I'm going to be talking about an experience I had while living in China, specifically Tianjin, one night out at a bar. I'm going to call this the I like it experience. So I had gone with a coworker to meet up another friend at one of the local bars that had many locations called the Helens. It was an all-wood kind of sports bar, hangout atmosphere, no dance floor, some pretty decent food, a lot of bench style seating that you'd share with other people, fairly inexpensive drinks, and a place that a lot of expats would go to. During that time, I was about 6 months into a relationship, very good relationship, I might add, and was going to just hang out with some friends. So brought my coworker along because I mentioned that this other friend of mine invited me along and was bringing some local girls, including a girl that he was courting at the time. So we all meet up out there. The two girls show up. The one that my friend who invited us over was interested in, and one of her coworkers. Both of them worked, I believe, in cosmetics. And I'm keeping names out of it, just I don't want to embarrass anybody. Per se. Anyway, we go inside, we sit in these bench style seats that, or table, and that were really long enough that you can have another group of people next to you of four. Sit down. On one side is the friend who invited us and his date. On the other side to my right is the coworker I brought along, and to my left is the other girl's friend. So we're all having a conversation. The girl that he's dating, she's very fluent in English, so she's able to keep up with the conversation. Our Chinese is not that great, so it had to be English as the lingua franca, as they say. The girl to my left, a little bit of English, but very beginner level. Anyhow, as we're talking, I notice she's trying to engage me in conversation, so I politely answer her and say, hi, how are you, what's your name, all that kind of stuff, just to be polite guest. During the course of the group conversation, I don't know if I noticed it or somebody else noticed it, but on her right hand, right about here, right, she had this spider tattoo, and I wasn't sure if it was a real tattoo or something drawn on with a marker. And I happened to notice it, and I said, oh, is that a real tattoo? And her friend, I think, translated part of that, and she goes, yes. I said, oh, cool. And then she, using gestures, kind of motions, do you have any tattoos? I said, no tattoos. Oh, okay. Conversation continues, like I said, and at a certain point, I noticed that she points to my arm and notices that I have pretty hairy arms. Not something you see most Chinese guys have, but very common for Westerners. So she just starts, I guess, touching it, just out of curiosity. I just noticed, and I said, okay. And she says, oh, in English, oh, I like it. I said, okay, great, thanks. Continue with the group conversation. At a certain point, there was something else that she pointed out, and she says that same phrase. Oh, I like it. I said, okay. Might have been maybe the double eyelid, a very common compliment we get as foreigners in China, or in Asia, really. Conversation continues. There might have been a third thing where she said, oh, I like this thing about your feature. I said, oh. So I would generally respond, thank you, whether in English or in Chinese, and that would be the end of it. At a certain point, I notice she gets a little bit agitated and starts, talking to her friend to try to do some translation. And at the table next on her side, there's another Asian lady or Chinese lady and a couple of her male friends, and they're all drinking. And they were there for a bit. And she starts playing translator saying, oh, she said that she pointed out she liked this thing about you, she liked this other thing about you, and she had mentioned that she had liked me. And I said, okay, thanks. But you say nothing. You don't compliment her. You don't say anything besides thank you to her. Mind you, like I mentioned before, I was in a really good relationship with someone for about 6 months at that point, so I didn't want to do anything because I really cared about who I was with, and I wasn't interested in this person anyway. So the person doing the translating next to her, she says, mentions this, and at the time I had a little bit of Chinese under my belt, so I started thinking about how to answer that question or how to reply to that. So I thought for a moment, and I said, 我知道你喜欢我，但是我比较喜欢我的女朋友. For those of you that don't know what that means, it basically says, I know you like me, but I like my girlfriend more. And of course, that triggered her. She started doing this, for people that don't know this term, sajiao, it's like a kind of a soft, girly voice that Asian women will sometimes use, that some people find attractive, but they also kind of use it to complain and whine, sometimes in a flirting way, not necessarily in a serious, let's get into a fight manner. And she starts going into this, just literally doing that. And, saying, oh, 你是讨厌, 你是讨厌, which means you're terrible, you're bad. And I turned to the friend who invited me and I said, I'm trying to do the right thing here, and here's this girl, complaining and, flirting with me, even though I told her honestly I have a girlfriend. I mean, why is she upset? It's gonna happen. And I was being polite to her. I wasn't flirting with her. I wasn't, I was not the one who touched her, all this kind of stuff. And he starts laughing about it, and we have a conversation. We continue talking about this. The girl in the other group that's in our table starts translating what we're saying. And I kind of got upset over that because I'm thinking, nobody invited you to this conversation, or to play translator, much less. And side note, I believe she said at one point, because we asked her, oh my God, your English is really good. How did you study? She's like, oh, I lived in Australia for a bit, and yeah, I studied, and I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, she's doing this perfect translation of another conversation. And the funny part about that was the other friend that I was speaking to, he could understand and speak Spanish. So I go to him, all right, I'm gonna switch up now. And I start speaking Spanish to him, explaining, hey, I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to be polite. Who's this? Why is she upset about this whole thing? And I, at the same time, I'm overhearing them talking because the local girl is saying, what's she saying? What are they saying? What are they saying? And I remember her saying, I don't know, they're not speaking English. So at a certain point, I excuse myself from the table, go to the restroom. The girl's still upset. Slide, all the people over, go to the restroom. Come back, and I notice the first group is gone, or the group that had the translator, gone. But the seating arrangements had somehow changed. So the friend that was across from me, he's still there with his date. But the friend that was to my right, who I invited over, now he's sitting where where I was, and the girl that was flirting with me is sitting closer towards the wall, and she's holding hands with him. And so I go, okay. So then I slide over to the side of the friend who I was speaking Spanish with, just to kind of put a little distance between me, the girl, and myself, because obviously now she's trying to play a jealousy thing. Anyhow, we continue a group conversation, things are fine, but I can see she's like really tightly holding this guy's hand, and he's just kind of playing it off like, okay, whatever. Night ends, no more events or eventful things happen, but afterwards I remember talking to the guy that she ended up holding hands with, and I said, oh, that go anywhere? Do you get a phone number and whatnot? He's like, no, not really. Nothing happened. I said, you know why she was doing that? He says, yeah, and I kind of sat there also to kind of put a buffer between you guys. I said, oh, well, good on you. So that's the story of I Like It. And before anybody thinks anything, afterwards when I met up my girlfriend, I told her the whole story and she just had a good laugh about it. And she's like, thank you for telling me this. I was like, of course, I'm not going to be covering up stuff or not be honest with you, especially when I didn't do anything wrong. But a funny story. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.